hello. I'm looking ragged. Got my Carhartt shirt on. Just was laying around. I got a couple messages. Danae sent me a message. You going live tonight? And so did Todd from from Loma Vista. So hey Lee, Ed, good to see everybody. So yeah, I actually did one thing in the bee. Oh, I guess it's a couple things, but really not much in the bee yard today because of the rain. I did add a 5-frame box over another 5-frame today, and one of my swarm colonies, it's a double deep, but it's got a medium on top, and it's got 4 frames, at least 4 frames of capped in the top and the center. But I just wanted to check in on it because I hadn't opened it in a while. So it's got a little bit going on, and looks like everybody's filing in now. Good to see. You know, some people say they don't get my stuff for like 18 hours afterwards, Phil, that they get the notifications. Hey, Carl, good to see you. The link is already pinned there. I think up there on your screen, or could be up there in the chat. No, it's the other way. It's in the chat box that way. At the top. Charlie's probably asleep already. Hey, Jason. Got the getting invaded by the Northeast here. We got New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland. Got Virginia, but that's still like below the Southeast there. Yeah, just kind of chilling out today. Melted that big bar of wax down that I rendered in the solar wax melter. I put that in my crock pot, melted it down. So now all I gotta do is heat it up and ready to roll when it's time in there. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening. Wyoming. All right, you guys wanted me to go live. Let's get a topic. What's going on? What are we talking about tonight? Maybe Todd is coming. Maybe I need to answer Todd. That's the problem. I didn't answer anybody. I just went live. I'm like, oh, they're looking for me. So let me go live over here. Let me see. That was quite a while ago that he sent me a message, though. You know me. I got to get my old man nap in the afternoon. Well, hopefully it went well. It's getting mixed reviews. Some people are saying it worked really good the first time, and then they come back a few weeks later and try it again, and it's not. So I don't know. Might want to make it a little bit stronger than desired there, Jason. No, I am actually banning mic talk for right now. There he is, Todd. Yeah, the mic talk is not in my agendas for a minute. Not until I get these supers off. Then I'll start talking about mites. We talk about mites 9 months out of the year. And luckily, I don't have to talk about beetles that much right now. The wax melter, there's all kinds of YouTube videos on how to make one. Charlie actually put a video out on his that was made. I don't know if he made it or someone else made it, but it's not that difficult to make. I just bought mine for around $200. It's the one I bought. But you can get, there are less expensive options to doing it. I've seen someone just use a deep box and put a bottom on it, tilt it with some, like a, what do you call it? A roasting pan and a piece of glass on top of it. And then cut the roasting pan to where when it's at an angle, the wax drips down through. Yeah, as long as it's long enough. Not hang them in, but you can lay it in there. Nice. 2.5 cases. That's what's up. It rained. and it rained, and I went on a rant on Facebook on my community. Well, I didn't really rant on my community. I just told them, you remember the flood, right? My flood that I had last time? Well, it was, I don't want to. All right, come.
Okay, everyone.
Let me turn down the sound.
Here. Lower.
But scenes. Oh, crap. I missed it already. Hold on. My whole. That's my niece. You're not supposed to see my niece. There's no way to stop it. No way to pause it on that. Hold on. Doggone it. All right, let's see if we can. That's how much that ditch flooded out the whole front half of my yard today. It was all the way up to my mailbox. I don't know if y'all can see that good. But I had literally a miniature lake in my yard. And the more I stabbed it, the more beer cans and stuff came popping out of there. It was, this was today. This wasn't the other one. This is what happened today. I mean, I went to the store, and when I came back, the whole half of the front yard was flooded out. So it wasn't that fun to be out there in the rain stabbing that hole. But hey, had to do it. Hey, Bruce. Yes, I do. I actually, doggone it, Bruce, I actually went to Lowe's and bought they had a stainless steel mud pan, and I've seen where you can get the replacement plastic ones that they've been using, like even from Better Be, but you can just buy those at Lowe's or Home Depot, just a sheetrock mud pan. And, but yeah, they are rusting for sure. So I just went and replaced one. Oh yeah, I will. But I was trying to hold my phone and use another pipe and ram down this thing. So, and it was raining, and it's a brand new phone. I didn't want to throw in the ditch. So, then that was on Facebook. So I wasn't worried about Facebook. But it did start to rust. Both pans. One of them really bad. The one that's been out there the longest. The one that I just did, you could tell the pans that they sent with it were kind of flimsy and cheap. I don't know if you want cheap. Yeah, we'll call them cheap. But where they were folded on the sides. But I bought a stainless, looks stainless anyway. It's a solid metal, like molded pan for sheetrock mud, and from Lowe's, and that seems to work pretty good. Guys, you guys wanted the live, click the link. Somebody click the link. Let's go. Charlie's probably asleep already. Todd, come on, Todd. Well, I'll tell you what, the sheetrock mud pan that I bought from Lowe's fit exactly the same. Exactly the same as the other one. It's hard to tell, like, when you're looking at them in the store compared to the one you have on hand. But they did end up being the same size. Look, everyone, it's Todd from Loma Vista.
What's up?
Not much. And we got Carl from Two Brats Bees.
How you doing, guys?
Is that two brats or two brats?
Two brats.
Because, you are like in German territory. It could have been two bratwurst bees.
No, there's two brats. It's Haley and Caleb. They're my little brats.
And then
we got Jim in here now.
How you doing, guys?
well,
Good to see you, Jim. I heard you're having some health problems. I from what I hear.
Well, a few, yep. But well, I'm at home now, so we're getting better every day.
you know,
Well, you
know
look
when
okay.
He's gonna be doing real good is when he lifts up that pint that's sitting next to him.
No,
I'm curious. Oh yeah, I figured. I was like, but he is Canadian, so it is beer is water with hops in it. Yeah.
Now wait a minute, Bob. I'm the one who gets busted for having a pint in hand.
Oh, where do you? Oh, Todd disconnected. But you come off. But usually it's after you've had a bunch of pints before you come on.
Oh, I have a bunch of pints when I'm on too.
So what's going on, guys?
nothing. I just saw that you were live. I sat down here.
Well, you know, I started watching the original Star Trek because, yeah, I know when I was a kid,
that seems logical.
Yeah, I used to watch it, and I just never was that big a fan. But now, I've got my buddy. He's like a huge Star Trek fan, and I've just never really been a Star Trek fan. I've been a Star Wars fan, but I figured I'd give it the old college try and see if it was worth it. And I started watching an episode, and then I dozed off, and I woke up and it was still on. And I was sitting there, and then I came into the computer room and checked, and Todd's like, "You going live tonight?" And then I checked my email, and Danae had sent me an email. "You going live tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'm going live tonight." So hit the button and went live. So
there you
that's
go.
how that worked. That's how that worked out. But yeah, raining and flooding here in the yard. Evidently, we've got a. And this is how in tune I am with the world. We had a hurricane come through, and I guess that's the remnants of the Category 1 hurricane.
And I thought I was out of it.
Well, you are out of it for medicinal purposes. I'm out of it just because I'm oblivious to everything when it comes to news.
Yeah, but Jim, you're out of it in the worst time possible for you.
Oh, I've just my girls are filling up frames and boxes every day out there. It's just every day I'm one more day behind. But I did manage to get a bit of work done on my uncapper there today, so that's not a bad thing.
So you're not totally laid up. You're still able to I don't even think it's reasonably, but you can get some stuff done. You're still.
I'm tinkering, I guess you could say. I'm able to tinker. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
The biggest thing I lifted today was a paintbrush, so that's a start.
It could go bad. That could go bad. Well, the biggest thing I lifted today is when I went to the restroom.
Yeah.
I'm way more modest.
That's the military. Well, it doesn't have to be true. It's just a statement, But yeah, that's the.
Yeah, but you're in the prime of your season right now.
It's big, but I mean, there's a paintbrush. I'm in the middle of our flow up here. I am right smack dab, right in the middle of the flow. So, and I'm fortunate enough where I have some of my bees. The field to the north, the canola to the north, bloomed a little bit early. The field to the south was blooming a little bit late. So, I've really got an extended honey season there, or honey crop coming too. So, I spent all last winter building boxes and building frames and building pallets, so that there was no chance of me being out of equipment. And I was out of equipment about 3 weeks ago.
God bless.
So it's not I'm not complaining. It's a problem that's nice to have.
But you got to somehow come up with a recipe to be able to pull boxes off, yet have boxes on while you're processing the honey to give them boxes back, right?
I've had a couple of weeks to think about that one.
So have the bees. They're like, wonder what this guy's gonna do to us.
Well, Jim, I have a question for you because I've been playing around with your 6-frame nuke, three of them together, and I had played with them, and I had set it up, and I lost a queen. And it seems like that when you lose one queen in those 3 boxes together with the 6 frames, that it just runs rampant.
Nope,
And
not at all.
Mine,
well,
mine
my
was slow to
experience
start.
was I lost one queen, and then I lost the second queen, and then the dominance took over.
So there's a trick to that. Let me see if I can answer this correctly.
I'm looking for the answer.
You must have the strongest colony in the center position of the battery.
Well, I'm waiting to hear what Jim says because he has more experience than both of us.
So,
well, that's what he told me after I lost 2 queens in mine. So
I do try to put the strong colony in the center. Now, in a perfect world, you want all of the colonies to be fairly close to the same. If you've got 2 strong colonies, it really doesn't make too much of a difference. So let's go back to the first thing you said. You lost a queen. So
yeah,
did she get out of one box into the other?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because before I put the honey supers on, I had 3 strong colonies, and I got to where the flow was getting ready to start, and I put queen excluders on, and I topped them off with honey supers, and then it was shortly after that I saw this happen.
So what kind of queen excluders did you use?
I was actually in this situation. I think I was using the plastic ones.
Okay, so there's probably your problem.
Okay.
So on those 6 frame, I would use nothing but metal. Now, I didn't design these by any stretch of the imagination. I've inherited, adopted, stolen. I can't say stolen.
you procured.
I procured. I actually asked for.
That's a good word.
To use this. So these are something that I do believe Ian Stepler came up with in his idea, and working with Brad Hogg from Faith Apiaries. They're the ones that kind of mastered this. But the problem with plastic queen excluders is, I'll make you a bet your queen got into the other box. The plastic queen excluders in there, they can kind of push up. They're flexible. And you get the queen out of one box into the
But
other.
they're cheap.
Well, are they? They're what's the cost of a queen?
Exactly. That's where it comes in the background.
So
you always got to pull that one out the back pocket.
yeah, I'll make a bet that she did. I'll make a bet that plastic wavered, or she pushed it up and built up wax, and she got into the other hive, which is probably, if I was a betting man, I'd say you lost 2 queens in a row. You didn't lose 2 queens on each side of the box. You lost the center queen and one of the end queens, correct?
Oh, well, I caught the swarm.
And so, but that's probably what ended up happening there. So on those, if you're going to use 6 ways and you're going to super them, you need to use a good metal excluder. Make sure you turn it so that the queen bars, or the gaps, are to the bottom. Make sure that they're set up to the bottom, and make sure that they're tight in the center. Those have to be right tight together in the center.
Okay.
And that will probably solve a lot of your problems. But yeah, don't use plastic excluders on 6 ways or 6 frames pallets. Not if you're going to.
You live and you learn.
The hard way, usually.
Yeah, and
snack pack top.
Everything that happens to me is the hard way. So
ice cream.
Oh, trust me, that's what it was for me for a long time, and there's still a few things that I'm learning the hard way. And I think it's human nature. Human nature is people could go out and say, don't do that because that's probably not going to work, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go do it anyway.
Yeah,
well, that didn't work.
I'm sort of the person that I want to buck the horse, and I'm starting to learn that there's a 50-50 ratio with that. You want to buck it in the right situation.
There you go.
because you know you're going to pay for it one way or another.
Well, that's how. See, I'm the same way. James can testify to this. He's probably gonna raise his hand and catch the Holy Ghost here in a minute when I start talking. James, when we were doing stuff and he was helping me out this year, he's like, "Now make sure you do this, this, and this." And then Bob being Bob gets out there and says, "Yeah, I can see why I'm doing this, and I can see why I'm doing this, but I don't need to do that." And then the thing is, when I call James back, "Hey James, it didn't go right," he says, "Well, did you do this, this, and this?" I said, "Yeah, no." Did you use a towel, Bob, when you were grafting? No. Well, there you go. Do it again.
Yeah.
And you're
I'm actually right now. I'm actually right now. We're running a flow right now that usually July the 4th we're done with our flow, and what's today, the 15th, and we're still on the flow, but we had a month of drought here.
Today's the day I win the Powerball.
Well, I hope you do, Bob.
So
I do, honest to God. I hope you to win it.
If I do, I'm going Monday to the lottery office. I think I'll call in sick that day, and then I'm gonna load up and do whatever I need to do to get my passport to go up there to James, and we're gonna build him an extracting line while I'm sitting there.
I'm right there with you. Do me a favor.
Burning hundreds. No, just
Bob, do me a favor. Send me a couple bucks. I'll come up with you and party with you. And I'll help you. I'll work right there with you.
With this Powerball thing, it says you can take $875 million over a 30-year annuity, or $452 million today. Which one are y'all doing?
Oh, I'd take the 800 over 30 years.
Yeah, it's like 875. That means they're going to give you a big chunk, enough to live on forever, right out of the gate, right?
Right, but you guys also down there, you have to pay tax on that, correct?
Oh,
yeah,
God, yeah.
That's what that 40.
We have to pay tax on air.
That's what that $403 million is that they cut off the top, I think.
See, that's why you'd want to take it over the period of time. Up here in Canada, we buy lottery tickets with we pay our taxes and stuff like that right off the wage. So it's already tax money. So we don't have to pay taxes on any lottery that we get up here.
Really?
Capital gains you got to pay, but
there's a new plan. I move to Canada. I come down to the States and claim my lottery winnings.
They'll get you somehow.
They would figure it out.
Move.
Yeah, taxes and death, Bob. Those are the two things that you can't cheat.
Yeah, oh, well, Jason says cash it out now. Invest to triple your winnings, way more than an annuity. I just watched. You ever seen that show where they take the people that win the lottery and they got all this money and then they're broke in like a couple years?
Well, I'll tell you what. When Lotto 649,
5 years on average.
When Lotto 649 first came out, I knew one of the first winners up here in Canada of Lotto 649. So I was living out by Edmonton at the time, and he won the lottery. And it wasn't a whole bunch of money, but you got to remember, this is back in probably the early, what would that have been? 84, 83, 84, 85, somewhere in there. And it wasn't a lot. I think it was like $9 million or something like that. And he said it was the worst thing that had ever happened to him. So people wouldn't leave him alone. You'd go to the church, craft and bake sale, and they'd be selling muffins or whatever, and he'd hand him a 50, and then wait for his change. And the ladies at church would give him a hard time because he was asking for his change back. It's like, well, you got lots of money, and just things like that. And he ended up having to put a fence around his house out on the farm there. So he was a farmer, and of course, people were crawling the fence. So then they ended up hiring a guard. Long story short, they ended up selling the family farm that was in their family for 3 generations. Had to move into a gated community, and very few. He found out who his friends were very, very quickly, because every guy and his dog was asking him for money. And he said if he had to do it all over again, he would rip the ticket up.
Really? Well, here you can actually claim it anonymously.
There you go.
So you don't have to go get the big check and show everybody that you won. So, not that I ever win, but if I do win, it's just a nice place to go with your mind every once in a while. What would I do?
There you go.
Probably the same thing. Nothing.
Brad's chatting there. Evening, Brad.
Buy a piece of land, big cow and
I'd
extraction.
buy an island and everybody could leave me the hell alone. That's what I would do. You want to see me? Rent a boat.
So James,
we
James,
would come
how's
there,
your
Todd,
health?
just to drink your beer.
Just to drink his beer. That's right.
James, how's your health? How are you doing? Are you going to be okay for your season?
Yeah, it'll take probably. I'm contemplating. My wife is sitting here, so she's about to give me the dirty eye. But I'm contemplating going to visit an apiary tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
See, now she just has to go and here's how you beat her on this. Well, you can't.
She's listening, Bob.
I know. That's why I know.
Bob, she's right there.
Well, you say when she says, "Well, you can't lift anything," said, "Well, that's why you're coming with me."
He knows how to use the Hive lifter. That thing that Charlie still hasn't bought.
Oh, I'm surprised he hasn't popped in here.
Actually, I'm going to have to redo that whole Hive lifter video that I've done, because it can also double as a walker, and that'll be for me there tomorrow.
Just you put enough weight on it to balance you as you're walking.
Exactly. Yep. No, I can only lift 3 full honey supers. I can't lift 4 because 4. Well,
James, I'm not busting the ass, but how old are you?
I'm 53.
Same age as I am.
Well, you guys only have a couple years on me, so I'm trying to plan myself, so because I'm learning that you can't do what you want to do, and I got a mindset that if it's in my mind, I just do it, and then I pay and I hurt for it.
Well, I'm kind of the same way, but I'm starting to get a little bit smarter. So the issues that I'm having right now.
Yeah, but you're 53 and I'm 50.
Aren't related to lifting or anything like that. So, now I do have a bad back, which is exactly why I bought the Hive lifter. I broke my back in 1999 or 2000, I guess it was. And that's why when I started this, that's one of the first things I bought was the Hive lifter, because I knew that's the only way I'd be able to do this. I'd keep me till it's all gone. That's how you make a small fortune, is you start with a large one and then no one to quit.
Right. They have the first $875 million beef farm in history.
With 2 hives.
Minus
2 hives.
Yeah, Brad would be laughing. He's like, look at this. Look at this guy. He comes on live and he's got this cow and 120 frame extractor and a line. He's only got 4 colonies to run through there.
And he rolls up in his little Lamborghini B cart. Custom made.
Oh, Bob, by the way, I got to tell you, Bob, by the way, you paid, I don't know, you said $600-700 to have that uncapper sent down to you from license from Betterby.
Yeah, it's $556.
All right. Well, I bought a honey creamer, an 18-gallon one. It only cost me $130.
Well, that's probably just as cheap as it would have been if you would have went and picked it up, because you got gas and everything.
Because I'm so close, I got lucky.
I just need to make this list, this master list. Like I saw, that box place out of Florida where I got those boxes with the dovetail joints and all that. They've got a sale going on now as low as $8.75 a box if you buy 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
But if you buy 100 of them, they're like $13, $13.
Make them in 7/8?
Yeah. Do they make them in 7/8?
Yep.
No. They're made out of cypress and they're 3/4 inch boxes.
I was gonna say, give me boxes for $8 a box. If they're 7/8 and they're dovetailed, I'd drive to Florida to pick them up.
You stop by here and I'd jump in the truck with you and we'd roll out.
How heavy is cypress? Because if it's heavy, well, I guess you wouldn't have to wax tip cypress, so never mind.
No, I
But
just
how heavy
painted
is
the ones I
cypress?
got. They're just regular, feel like regular boxes.
Oh, really? Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
And the last ones I got, I mean, I like them because the dovetails, because of the nature of the dovetail, helps keep the box tight and not bow and do everything else. So it is
It's called glue and staples, Bob.
yeah, well, I stapled those boxes and they bowed and pulled the staples out. I was like, oh my
But did you glue them?
well, listen, hold on. No. First of all, those boxes I did not build. Those boxes I paid extra to have built at the store, and they did not glue them.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of places don't glue them, and glue.
But it literally takes 15 seconds extra per box.
Oh, heaven forbid! It'll
Yeah, I
last
know.
forever, and it'll stay square, and you go and pick it up when it's full of honey. It's not gonna become like an accordion, and everything's gonna fall out on the ground, and then you're gonna be cursing as you're trying to pick the grass off the honey frame. And
Two hives and gadgets. That's what Brad says. Yep.
And yes, I am speaking from experience on that.
Oh yeah. The glue definitely is the way to go, for sure. But
did you call that pallet
no,
case
I
out
didn't
here?
call them yet. No, I was working so much this week, and when I say work, some days I might have 2 appointments and be off. Actually, be at the house most of the day, but not these last 2 days. I was gone.
I haven't been into work for over a week.
Yeah, but
You've just been laying around.
You have an excuse.
yeah, but you probably, if you had it to do over, you'd say I'd rather have gone to work.
Oh, I would have worked 4 jobs.
Let me see, Tight Bond 3 and 2-inch galvanized ring shank nails. There you go. We got but there was a as far as boxes, you got to figure 1,000 boxes. I think when I called them last time, they said they had 100 boxes to a pallet. So you're talking about 10 pallets. That's almost like half a tractor trailer for just the boxes. Then you'll need the other half for the frames to go in said 1,000 boxes, right? So, and they were $1.20, $1.12 a frame.
I think that's pretty expensive. I think I'll have to go and take a look, but I think I was quoted up here just when last time I was over by Winnipeg. I think I was quoted like $1. I'll have to go take a look. It was like $1.27 or $1.34 a frame.
Yeah, this place said $1.12 a frame, and then it was $1.12 for the plastic foundation to go in it.
That sounds about right.
$2.20.
Well, I was behind the 8 ball with Honey Supers, and I ran out of frames, and I contacted Premier, and I think that it came down to I got 400 frames for, I think it was less than $3 a piece. I think it was like $3.98 a piece or something.
And how much was shipping?
Oof.
I didn't pay for shipping. They covered it.
They covered shipping from Premier?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was included.
Because I got enough. I think I got 400 frames. Bob, I'd have to pull the invoice, but it was, I started looking at if I took and paid to buy them and staple them up myself with the foundation, it was like 20 cents a piece or 18 cents a piece more to just have them put them together and ship them to me with double layer wax on them. They're very reasonable.
Brad needs to come on and tell us about his visitor he had today. I got lots of questions for him.
I bet you I know who the visitor was.
I bet you don't.
Well, it's probably the only other person I know that lives in Manitoba. There's only I don't know anybody else than Ian. That's the only person I would guess.
I think you'd be wrong.
Probably so.
He sent me a picture today of the dirty dog as I was sitting here with my feet up. He sent me a picture and started giving me a hard time about my poor grafting habits. Yes, I'm poking at Brad. Ouch.
All right. So if I go to Premiere, if I go to Shop Now, Shop Frames, you bought assembled with foundation, double wax.
Yeah. Yep. Double waxed.
$329.
On their website, it says double wax are $44.95 for a 10-pack. Or that's deeps, not mediums. Mediums are $42.95 for a 10-pack.
40.
Yeah, I bought 400. I think is what I bought, Bob.
So you paid around $1,600. More than that, right? Let me pull the calculator up.
I know it was.
You shop like me. I just need it. I don't know how much it is. Let me see.
It was less than $4 a piece.
Maybe they gave you a price break on it when you got over a certain amount.
Yeah, I'm going back about 4 months ago.
Well, as we said today, were they mediums or deeps?
They were mediums.
All right, $42.95 times 40 is $1,718. Buy their 10-pack. I don't see anything bigger than a 10-pack on here.
And Bruce is saying Premier is free if you're shipping over $150. That's only if you're in the U.S., unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there he is. You asked, and we shall receive. There we go.
But they were very, very well built and everything. I can't complain. And from what I saw so far, the bees jumped right on them.
I was going to say, Carl, we're beekeepers. We can complain about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Premier, I mean, I got the one Premier at the conference this year, one Premier frame at conference, and I mean,
yeah,
they
when you walk in.
one.
Well, you know what? I'm going to throw a positive note out there for Premier, because if everybody remembers, I used Premier foundation last year, and the bees would not draw it no matter what I did. If I brought it back and I rewaxed it, they would draw it out within 24 hours. So they sent me up 300 pieces of foundation to try it again this year. Now, I understand that it was covered with Canadian beeswax, so I'm not sure how they managed to do that one. But all of the Premier foundation that I have put in there this year, they have drawn almost as quick as what I have pre-waxed myself. So I literally put them in there and I checkerboarded it. I put one in there that I pre-waxed, and I put a Premier. One that I waxed and a Premier. One that I waxed and a Premier. And it seemed to make no difference. So whatever they did or whatever they changed last year made a heck of a difference. And the fact that Premier, from talking to them there at the conference last year, stepped up and sent me those. All I had to do was pay the shipping. And actually, I didn't have to pay all of the shipping. They paid, I think, the shipping to the border. So really, all I had to do was just pay from the border. They even looked after the brokerage and the customs. You know, that speaks volumes for customer service, and that alone, Premier has probably got a customer for me for the foreseeable future.
No, they seem like they're on top of their game. I've never even had to contact them. Everything that I've ordered has come through and it's been immediate. And I have no complaints so far, And I actually tried playing like the Greg Burns said, put them in and see how they compare to others. And honestly, I think that they do perform better, or if not equal to everything that I have. I only have 60 hives right now, so I'm at the scale. When you get 100, 200 hives, then you could start playing with, hey, we could play research and this and that. And from what I saw, I'm really impressed so far.
Perfect. Tell us about your visitor, Brad.
Yeah. Hi, Carl. I don't know if we've met, but hi, Carl.
I've seen you on,
Um,
Brad. Very nice to meet you.
And well, thank you. And James, I'd be interested to hear what they found out about what happened to that first load of Premier. That would be a very interesting story as to kind of something messed up in production, I suppose.
I would say something with the wax there. Yep. But I know
Bob,
they were working with Dancy Bee, so I think Todd and Mike from Dancy Bee were working with them, and I think they sent a pile of beeswax down. And I know that the Premier Foundation this year that came back to Canada with Canadian beeswax on it. So Mike can probably give you some more information on that.
can I present, Bob?
Yeah, of course. You want me to make you big, or are you going to share screen?
Have you seen Brad?
Share screen. Yeah, thanks, James. You don't need to make me any bigger, my God.
Jeez.
Brad, I'm right there with you.
Oh.
So here's my visitor
Ah,
today.
You cheated.
yeah.
I cheated. How did I cheat?
You brought in the big gun.
She's badass.
She is badass.
How did you get Carrie over there?
Oh, she paid a visit on an unrelated unrelated matter.
Freeze that palm, baby. Things can
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. No, we met back in, oh man, what was it, 2015, 16, I think it was. So anyway, we had a good time. I didn't really do, a whole bunch of YouTube or anything while she was here. We were just having a good time. She was helping me introduce queens, and we did a graft, or she did a graft, just to sort of go through. I told her, ever since I started grafting, I've been just wishing that I could have Carrie come here and look over my shoulder and audit my process. And so she said, yeah, no problem. So we just
I thought you were going to say she came to take your queen rearing class.
Yeah, exactly. She came to learn what I know. I taught her everything I know, and it took about 10 seconds.
And she agreed. Well, yeah, I know that already. Let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my visitor.
It
was fun.
I had Mother Nature paid us a visit today. Of course, day off. It's got to rain all day.
So, yeah, I had a few little sprinkles here today, but it wasn't that bad.
When I saw the rain, I decided to look at the weather, and it showed that there was a hurricane. I guess the Category 1 kind of came in on the east coast of South Carolina, so probably getting the outer bands, because it would hit really, really hard, and then we'd get a break, and then it hit really hard again. So just one of those. But the bees were inside. They weren't very happy when I cracked the two colonies open. But
Bob, when are you ever happy?
I said my bees are happy when I put out a feeder. And then most of them are happy. We'll say that most of them are happy.
I checked that out yard, James. I didn't do any YouTube out there, but I checked that out yard, and excuse me, they're progressing. They haven't filled that second box yet, though.
Okay.
So just thought I'd report progress.
What are they about? 6 out of 10 frames?
I didn't dig down. I just opened the lid enough to see what was going on in the second box. I didn't take my veil or nothing. I just went out, and but I only gave them 8 frames of foundation and 2 frames of comb, and it looks like the comb is full. So
they're busy drawing.
They'll be drawing that foundation out. Yeah,
Alan was telling me there today. Not today. I guess it was 2 days ago. The ones that that I kept behind that were the same graft and everything of yours, They got about 6 frames that are filled on the second box here now, or on the second. So I suspect yours
Was
are
that
probably
foundation?
close. That's all foundation. 100% foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got a little heavier flow going there than I have. My flows are not super heavy.
Yeah, well, that's where I want to take a drive tomorrow. So we'll just see if she'll let me come out. Maybe she'll have to come with me. But I'd like to head out because that one of my out yards there, the field to the north started blooming really, really early. So when I got the bees out there, it was already starting to bloom. The one to the south was probably about, I'm going to say 2 weeks behind it. So I should have really, really heavy flow there for an extended period of time. So from what Alan was saying, we've got, some of them are 4 high and some of them need a 5th box out there already. So, you know, that's a pretty good flow, but that's canola. So I got to get that canola out of those frames. They're 18%.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm not a millionaire. I didn't win.
Oh, shucks.
Bob's
guess I'll
already
cancel my
checking his
plans.
lottery tickets.
Oh yeah, I was sitting here the whole
I didn't-
time. It was online, right?
I didn't even realize.
I did get a few numbers, but yeah, not enough. Not enough.
Not the right
numbers.
ones.
Yep, no Powerball. If I'd have had a power out of 13 rows of numbers, I didn't get the Powerball on not one of them.
So, Brad, there's a question for us on here. It says, can you please ask James and Brad what they suggest from 40 full production colonies? I'm only averaging 25 pounds per hive. Should I bring in new genetics? All they have to do is brood up.
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of forage you on? First of all, 40 colonies in 1 yard. 40 colonies in 1 yard. You got to have some decent forage.
Now he's in Ohio, and we have some people like Tom in Ohio is saying that they're having the best flow they've had in 100 years up there.
So there's a few things that I would ask Robert. There is a couple things. So, like Brad said, what do you got for forage? Is it all new equipment? Are they drawing comb? It says all they want to do is brood up. Well, I wouldn't look at that as a bad thing, but I would have liked them to have brooded up and hit the peak brood right around when the flow, would have hit. But, to me, I would, at this point with the flow over, all they're doing is brooding up. I would have to ask, what kind of a fully drawn comb he says. So, they need those resources, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, but they need that pollen and they need that honey to get the brood going, and they're going to find that balance. They're not going to put it all into brood production. They're going to store some of it there too. So there's a few things that I just don't understand what's going on there.
They filled the supers with brood.
I don't either. Well, if it's
Queen excluder,
brood, it's not a super.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a second or a third, not a super.
Brood in it. It's a brood chamber. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I don't know anything about various races of bees. I just have the bees I have, and that's all I know. I'm told they're carniolan mutts. That's kind of what I think is the case. But,
well,
I mean, they're obviously not crazy ass bees like Bob has.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you got 40 first generation carnies over there from a pretty good bloodline. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do for you.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'd say, Robert,
well, I was checking them out. I was checking them today, and I didn't open every one of them. I opened maybe 8 of them just to see what was going on. And I'm kind of careful, but I don't bother even taking my veil over when I'm just doing that. And so, I mean, they're very well behaved. It was, when did I go over? 8:30. So it was still 4 hours before sunset.
Yeah, there's still a lot out for it. One thing, Robert.
Anyway, so
One thing Robert might want to try there is go through and sort your boxes. Take your eggs and larvae, put them down in your brood chamber in the bottom. Pull any honey or anything like that, bring it up. Start organizing that hive. Get a queen excluder in there. Limit her down to the bottom. Maybe they're, that might help you. I don't know.
well, that's a good question. Are you running double deeps, single deeps? What are you running for your brood chamber? Because if you're running double deeps for brood chamber, yeah, I mean, you don't get nearly as much honey that way.
1 deep, 2 mediums. What does he say there? 1 deep, 2 mediums each. 1 deep and 1 medium per brood. So you don't have to go a deep and a medium per brood. So if you do the math on that, and
just get rid of that medium.
Yeah, the queen will not, if you're managing your hive correctly and you move the honey up out and she's not plugged out down in the bottom, she should never be able to outlay the cells that are in that bottom box.
Right.
So I would condense them down into a deep brood chamber. I would bring everything else up. You've got cat brood and stuff. I'd pull that up above it. Make sure that fill that bottom brood chamber with nothing but eggs, larvae, and cat brood. And then anything you have left over, cat brood.
So, Robert, are you saying she has 10 frames of brood, 10 deeps of brood in that hive? Is that what you're saying?
I had that issue where she was going up into the honey supers, but I just shook the bees down, made sure she was in the bottom, threw an excluder on, put it back on, let them hatch out, and let them backfill it.
Yeah, because they'll move the honey too. If they got a little bit of honey on those outside frames, you do what Bob says, and then she's looking for space. They'll kick that honey upstairs, to give her space.
Takes 3 weeks to a month for it to be accomplished, though.
Well, it takes 3 weeks for an egg to emerge and free up that cell. But what I'm saying is in the bottom, if there's a little bit of honey in the bottom on the outside frames, and you do what Bob just said, then they will quite likely move the honey from the bottom up to give her space to lay down there.
I've got one I got to check because they were not laying the. Now, this is one that I'm kind of scared to go look at because she wasn't
apiary.
Yeah, it's my apiary. Yeah, but I actually couldn't get her to. They weren't doing anything in the bottom box, so I got tired of fooling with it. So I took one frame out of the original brood box. I lifted the whole colony up. I put a brand new box with that one frame and 9 frames of foundation, shook all the bees down into that bottom box, put an excluder on, and then built the whole colony back on top of it. And
something sounded like they just dropped the whole tray of dishes.
That's Carl breaking his pints of beer over there. And
no, I'm not breaking nothing.
Last time,
pretty loud for nothing.
Last time I was in there, they were drawing the comb out. So good, fresh comb on the bottom.
I think you're on the right path. So think of a queen excluder as a tool. So there's a commercial guy here that does not use queen excluders. I personally think he's nuts. But that's just the way I kind of look at it. So he has a very large labor force. And what they do is every time they go to that apiary, they spend a pile of time going through those boxes, continually moving the eggs, the larvae, and the brood down and the honey up. And to me, that is crazy. You're just creating work. I mean, a queen excluder is a tool. You use the tool as you see fit.
So is he convinced that the queen excluder is reducing his honey production?
He is convinced that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't ascribe to that theory. Somebody might be able to prove me wrong, but
I
I
wouldn't be
don't
able
give it
to.
any.
I wouldn't be able to do half of what I do if I had to go through those boxes every time. That would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I
Even-
spent
It's called it's called prophylaxis. Okay. You know what prophylaxis is?
No, but I can't wait to find out.
Well,
I spent-
it's or
Sorry.
not prophylaxis with a T. Prophylaxis. Okay. That's the act of sharing nectar from one bee to another.
Oh yes, okay.
Okay. So a receiver bee receives the nectar at the doorstep. That the bee, the forager, does not go very far into the hive at all. Inches. Receiver bee receives that. Receiver bee trades that off to another one
And so
and
on
to
and so
another
forth.
one.
Yeah.
And it'll go through a number of bees before it gets to the storer bee. So they say, well, bees don't go through. Well, bees don't go through queen excluder. That's not the kind of bees that I run, because boy, I can put a queen excluder on there in about 5 seconds. That whole box is full of bees. They come through there like a waterfall.
Absolutely.
Plus, if the bees are finding something a little bit inefficient, they find a way.
Oh,
And it's called prophylaxis.
that,
So all you need is to stick your tongue through the queen excluder, give that to another bee. You don't go running back and forth.
well,
Bees are smarter than that.
I've got queen excluders on my my honey production boxes out there right now, and like I said, I got to go out and stick a 5th box on. So they're not eliminating much.
They're not honey excluders, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
missed.
that's
Go ahead, Brett.
I was just going to say, that's, to me, that's the carpenter blaming the hammer.
Right. And
Right.
I spent 6
And-
hours this morning trying to clear up. I messed up. I harvested honey this spring on 4th of July weekend, and I gave them empty boxes of frames and foundations. And I left, I take the excluder off, bring up a frame of brood for them to start working. Well, I went back this morning. All I was trying to do is say, hey, let's reduce these down to singles, take them to cotton fields. Well, all that is already full of honey. My other boxes that have honey have a little patch of brood. Now I had to lift everything, shake all the bees down, put the excluder, lift everything back on top. And I made a lot more work for myself. But I thought the flow was over, but we're starting our 3rd mesquite bloom, and I'm going to have at least another 1,000 pounds to harvest easily.
Doesn't that suck?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a good harvest. Some
yeah.
little boxes, and I spent
You're gonna
6 hours this morning on 3 yards. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the other 4, and I need to still move bees I have 15 small colonies on cotton. They're not my honey producers, but I need to reduce some of these big ones and take them to cotton so I can get some cotton honey. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is any of the honey filled boxes, throw it on other colonies, and then give these ones just drawn comb, take them to cotton, and make them. I'm going to force them to just be my cotton producers because everything else is getting crazy.
You're going to be spinning honey until Christmas.
Did you go to the melon field today?
No, I'm supposed to do that tomorrow, but here, let me jump back on here in a few minutes. I'm sorry, my son is crying. He just woke up. I'm going to go tend to him, and I'll jump on back on here in a little bit.
You
Okay.
betcha, man.
I was going to say, hopefully we're not going sideways again.
Oh, we always go sideways. What are you talking about? That's why at 11:30 at night we still have 42 people watching and probably 10 thumbs up.
So, hey, I did see an email come out today from Cayman.
I
Yeah,
didn't
Mark
get it.
is right.
Oh boy, you don't want to go down this road, do you?
No, I just wanted to say that there's something coming. So that's
Well, good.
throw that out there.
Well, I know he was up in Illinois, Indiana, somewhere with Dirt
Yeah.
Rooster and those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Ed.
So Mark made a good point. If you think queen excluders are honey excluders, you probably didn't have enough bees in a box to make honey in the first place.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. And I was that guy. Right, James?
Me too, man.
I'd open the box and James would be like, I don't think you got enough
Where's your
bees in
bees?
that box. I'm like, I don't think I got enough bees in that box. But what I think probably the biggest lesson I learned this year so far, still got time, right? Half the year's only gone. But the biggest one I've learned so far is leave the bees alone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think I'm probably not the only guy it was a challenge because I would go in there like clockwork. Oh, got to do it once a week. Got to get in there. Got to check them. And you don't. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, don't. Unless you're just opening the top. Oh, need another honey box. Put that on there. Because by the time the honey flow starts, you should have already had all that other stuff to prevent them from swarming and all that done. Should be done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what you do, Brad,
Yeah.
but as soon as the flow starts up here, I'm not in my brood box until after I'm harvesting and taking everything out. That'll be the next time I'm back down to my brood box.
Honestly, I rarely see a brood chamber after the 1st of July.
Yeah.
Like I may not see a brood chamber now until April, May. Really.
And then it's
Because
always interesting.
there's nothing. By the time my flow is over,
there's nothing
it's
you can
too
do to
late for me
fix
to
it
do
anyway. Right?
anything in the brood chamber, right?
I was going to say,
It doesn't matter. If there's something going wrong in there, they're done.
You got to let it
Because
ride.
winter is too close. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
You kind of go down there just to see which ones superseded and which ones didn't. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a video this fall just to freak y'all out. I'm gonna probably about middle of October, early to middle of October. I'm gonna not live, but I'm gonna video going through a brood chamber after I've fed my bees up for winter, and it is gonna be the craziest looking thing that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I was going to say
It is
that.
gonna be 10 frames of bees on 10 frames of syrup.
Yep, and it'll all be capped.
And if you look through a single brood chamber colony and you see absolutely zero brood and 10 frames of syrup, it looks just like a big cap 10 frame honey super. And I
But it
remember
won't
after
stay
about
that
3
way very
years,
long, though, right? Because they'll start consuming the middle. It will for you because you keep your temperature down. But I don't know
longer
that
you might.
I don't know that I
guess,
can
because
use
if
that.
they're not brooding, they don't use much syrup at all.
I don't know that that method would work here because I don't think I could ever get it plugged up because the
it's warm enough that
they're always
keep
flying,
brooding.
right? So
See, that's
right.
a lesson that's
That's
a
right.
lesson I learned last year, and it's something I'm struggling with this year because I've got 40, 50, 60. I got 60 medium boxes of which are sitting in the back of the bee barn there. They're all about to go on because I'm out of equipment. Otherwise, I wasn't planning on using those mediums at all. But I used those last year, and Brad kept telling me last year, you don't need them, you don't need them, you don't need them. And those medium boxes, when I took the bees out there 1st of April, got them all fed up the first time I got back into them. The singles, they still had 3 or 4 frames of food in there, so they had lots. The single with the medium on it, the medium had hardly been touched. But here's what I'm struggling with. The ones that had the medium on it, their population built up. Now, don't quote me on this, but almost twice as fast as the other ones. And I don't know if that's because they had that food readily available, and it created some other problems. So it created some very strong colonies very, very early on, which was great for new populations and things like this. But now all of a sudden you've got this second on there that you're trying to deal with that is full of brood, eggs, and larvae, when you should be trying to put a regular second box on there to get them going for the season. And there's so many bees in there that it becomes an issue. So I'm struggling as to which
That's
way.
certainly the case, and I recall our conversations, and you know, I wasn't thinking of population buildup and all that kind of stuff. The conversation, context for me was starvation, really,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and
And
so
that's
it
what I
was,
was worried about, right?
you know,
That is exactly what I
and
was worried about.
but when you saw that, I kind of, you know, it came out and you started reporting that, I kind of thought, oh yeah, we didn't talk about that part.
Well, did
Because
they?
sometimes it's not a good thing, you know. Sometimes you want them to kind of ease into it a bit.
Well, you've got to you've created a management nightmare, because now you have to ensure that you you're forced to make those splits. You're forced to make those nukes. You're forced to deal with that medium super, which becomes a real pain in the ass, I might add, because you can't use anything that's in that medium super in any of those nukes, right? So it's a you're actively
Well,
managing these
well, you
hives. Really,
can. You just have an additional comb nightmare. Your
well,
nightmare just continues.
exactly right. But I mean,
I have a friend who produces nukes in mediums, and I've bought nukes from her before, and you know what? I see no issue with those at all. She says that, you know, some people complain about them and whatnot, and I said there is no problem at all. I put those mediums in my deep boxes. They just continue to build that frame down farther. Sometimes they'll build drone comb, which is fine if that's what they want. But there's no issue whatsoever in putting a medium frame in a deep brood box. No
so
problem.
that's great for somebody like us on here that understand what'll happen. It doesn't work so well for the beginner beekeeper that opens up their box and feels that they've got ripped off because their frames are, only three-quarters the size of what they should be, right? So
Right,
Well,
and
good
I don't know
patterns,
that
good
I would
patterns.
put an entire, necessarily entire box, but if you're, say, checkerboarding or something like that, yeah, not an issue. Not an issue. It actually took me 2 years to weed those mediums out of my brood chambers because I wasn't concerned about them at all.
yeah,
I just, oh, hey, here's another one of those, kind of thing, and I'd pull it up into a honey super or something.
The with so I've got a couple colonies that really aren't doing well. I mean, they're not. I don't know. Maybe this is a different mindset.
Would those be the ones that we said we should have requeened a long time ago, Bob?
No, some of these are actually ones that I did requeen with some of my new queens that just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't get mated good or whatever. They just never really took off. And like I said, I haven't really been in them, but when I do look in it and I see they're definitely not like some of my other ones. But at this time of the year, it's like, is it a lost cause for me to try to get that queen going? Or should I just, and this is going to be where some people would have an issue. I'm not worried. If those few colonies that I have are so weak that they didn't do good through the flow and everything, I'm okay with just letting them go away, that small percentage, and freeing up equipment so I can split back to them in the spring or something like that. Now, I'm not, because they're not going to overwinter, right? They're not going to make it through the winter. And they're probably not going to all of a sudden jumpstart and start going if I add more brood with them. So I feel like I'm throwing good resources to a bad colony at that point. So I'm just wasting resources on an already lost cause, right? So aside from buying a new queen or grafting a new queen at this point, what would you guys do?
Did you check to see, do you still have drones?
I couldn't. It was raining all day today. We just talked about it last night. So it rained all day today.
What would I do if those were mine? If those were mine, I think, and they were there, and I was pretty sure they weren't going to make it through winter. And if I had 4 of the hives, I'd probably paper combine them together. Pick your best 2, paper combine them together, or paper combine them with a hive that is going to make it. I don't know. What would you do, Brad?
Unmute his mic first. That's what he would do.
Cat stepped on his mic again.
You need to do like the Forrest Gump. Then you
Yeah.
click unmute, and that's what I would do about that.
Yet
There
my
you go.
computer locked up again for a second. I was trying to change my background here. That's the out yard there. I just took that picture tonight. What would I do? See, it's a question that's really based in context, because what do I have time to do? What do I have inclination to do? What do I have? What can I do in the context of getting my fall work done and all that kind of stuff, right? Like right now, I'm dealing with 60 mating nukes, and those are going to have to grow into 6s and prepare for winter and all that kind of stuff. I'm dealing with all my zombies that do take a little bit of work, because I have to disperse them. I have to make something out of them. I have to put the brood somewhere. And so, I mean, colonies that maybe, and again, I don't even know what these colonies are doing right now because they're under 2 and 3 deeps of honey. I'm not looking at them. Now, if a colony is under 0 deeps of honey or 1, then I might start looking at that one. But honestly, not likely. I'm just going to let it ride. And that's just because I'm working on the average of the average of numbers, right? It's not trying to kind of maximize each one or save each one kind of thing. Spend most of my energy on the winners. Let the losers drop. The losers don't give me much. So spend my energy maximizing honey production on the good ones, and actually harvesting that honey and packing that honey and all that kind of stuff. The losers, got to be careful not to spend, so that's just context. That's not the way everybody should do it. But it's just context in what a person's goals and workload, is all about. So I don't know if that helped answer that question at all.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I've only got I would say at the max, probably 4 that are like that in the yard, that maybe are only a couple, they went from a 5, they were looking pretty good. I put them in a 10, and then it's like they immediately started going backwards, right? So,
Bob, I've done that. I've done that, and that's weird.
They
weird.
just don't used to take off.
I used to raise up a nuke. I would raise up a nuke in a 5-frame nuke, and then they do really great. And I'd put a 4-frame box on top, so they'd be on 9 frames. They'd be doing great, and I'd think, wow, I'm just going to throw this in a 10er. That's only 1 more frame. I'd throw it in a 10er, and then it would die in the winter.
And
I think,
so they started going backwards. They didn't produce any honey, right? They never got strong enough to justify putting a box on them or anything like that. So I think in my mind, what would be a better option instead of nursing that one along would be probably taking one of my strong double deeps at this point and just throwing a double screen bottom board in it. One side will have a queen, one side will make a queen, or, and then take that colony and replacing the colony that I've got that's sorry. I mean,
do you have any queens available?
I don't, unless I rob it out of one of my swarm colonies.
Because you could requeen that. That's one thing you can do. Use it either as a mating nuke, or use it as a beginning for what you'd hope would be a proper queen.
Now, what I could do is I could rob brood from my good colonies, make a nice strong starter finisher, and just graft up a bunch of more cells and see how that takes this time of year.
It's post solstice,
and I don't. Go ahead, Jeremy.
It's post solstice as well. So the queens are supposed to be great.
I don't know how that would work in your area. We're getting late here. I can't really.
Well, it gets cold there, right? So there's people that say they graft and get them mated back in October and stuff around here.
it's going to be a month before she's really producing much. And, that's going to be after the middle of August here. Maybe that would still be okay, but I prefer to have my queens mated by the first week in August. And so I'm coming down to the end of my,
Right.
Gary did all those graphs today, and
So that's probably your last round.
well, I guess because all my mating nukes are full now,
Right.
and I've got about 50 more cells in my cell builder. I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
And because of the weather,
Like,
I haven't been able to check to see what my drone population's looking like in my colonies. So that's kind of one of those things too. And I was going to order some queens from Jose, and I mean, yeah, everything's gone up this year. I will say that as far as queens, and his were not unreasonable for a price. They were like 27, but then if you get 15 of them, that's several $100, and then $100 on top of that shipping, which brings it right back up to $30 something a queen. So
I thought his were 40.
they had a special going.
Okay.
Let me see. Uribe honeybees. Limited time summer pricing on their website. 1 through 9 is 40. If you get 10, they're 27. 10 through 99. Or anything over 10 is 27. That's what it says.
He's probably just finishing up his work right now.
Yeah. So
Dark.
I just bought some from another guy. His name is Jose as well, but it's Korea Farms, and I them last year, got them this year, and they're 24 a piece, 25 a piece, and 15 shipping.
15 shipping each, or 15 shipping altogether?
15 altogether, 2-day air.
Holy, 2-day air for $15?
That's what he charged me. I know when they sent me the receipt, though, it was like 28 or something like that. But
wow.
Are they mean bees like I got?
no,
Because I want to make all my bees uniform.
Oh, mine
Yeah.
are very
yeah.
Get all mean bees.
mine are very mean. But those, no, I actually got those from last year and as well, and I just released those queens as well this week or this morning. They're very calm. They're good producers as well, and they're Italian Russian mix.
Well,
No
you should look
experience
for
on sunflowers.
a breeder in the jungles of Brazil for some queens.
Right.
But get your whole yard all level.
All level. All
level attitudes.
Well, I think it's going to take me a couple of years to get my bees how I want them. I didn't do a lot of grafting. I got 28 mated queens out of what I did, right? So was able to replace queens, and even some of the ones I replaced got superseded by one of her daughters, right, already. So but at some point I got to let the bees know what they're doing, right? And that's kind of what I've struggled with in my first years, to where I was going in and going in and going in. And when you go in, for some reason, we can't look, at least me, I'm speaking for me when I say we, and I open it up and I start looking, and then it's like you try to make an adjustment even when possibly there's not an adjustment needed to be made, right? You're just like, oh, I'm keeping bees, so now, I can take this from here and put it over there, and move this from over there and put it over here. And a lot of times maybe you don't need to do that, right? You're just kind of...
Well, I think you were maybe just changing things around too much between hives too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this morning a guy came from 3 hours north. He came to try to learn some stuff. This is his first season. He bought some nukes from me earlier this year. But I was trying to show him, but the problem we had was almost everything was honey bound, and The smaller colonies that I had either splits and everything like that. After we messed with the queens, the other colonies I would just pop the lid open. All right, they have enough room. And he's like, "You're not gonna dig in there?" I was like, "I really have no point." And I'll pull up a middle frame. There's brood eggs, whatever. We're good. Go to the next one. I had to learn that, and that was my hardest thing. Was just before I take my time. Then once you get up to 50, 60, I ain't got time. I look at it good. If it's a laying worker, throw the whole thing away. I mean, I'll freeze the comb and give it to another comb. I don't have time to play around anymore. And that's when I learned things are better that way. Just they either make it or they don't, and if not, keep on trucking. I mean,
my wife doesn't go outside, so she wouldn't know unless she sees them stinging me through the window or I bring them in the house.
He doesn't know what's out there at all.
Yeah. The buckwheat was doing good until the flood today. It's starting to get little buds on it, little white buds on it. So, of course, my yard flooded out. I mean, pretty substantially for me, and I happened to be at the big box store at Sam's Club, and I came home and it was like flooded. And they have this. Speaking of Sam's Club, they have this honey, and it's their Members Mark honey, right? And it says local, or not local, but it says raw honey or something on it. And I turned it over, and the air bubble went so fast from the top to the bottom. I was like, wow, I should have bought it and did a moisture content reading on it because it was so thin.
right.
So thin. And then they had what's the orange label one you see in the grocery store that says raw honey on it, huh?
Organic.
Yeah, it says organic raw, and it's got this guy's like silhouette head on it. But they had that over there too, and it moved slower, but it didn't move like that slow. So I'm wondering if it's just the moisture content, or if it's adulterated, or if it's because they get all this honey from all over the place to bottle.
There's honeys that I've been, people give me honeys from all over the place, and I've been given some honey from different countries. I think I have some, is it Argentinian honey or Panama or somewhere, Central America maybe, or South America, and it's like that. It's very watery, but I've had it a long time and it's not sour. So I don't recall if I've tested the moisture content, but I don't know what it is. But there are some honeys from different places in the world that are very thin.
Well,
and
they
yet
had
they're still fine.
44 ounce bottles for $14
Jeez.
at Sam's Club.
What gets me is it says American grade A quality or grade A, and you look at it, that's the quality, but it's product of Brazil, Argentina, blah blah blah.
Right.
But they throw the American quality or grade A, whatever, because that's what they consider it. But
Well, I saw a guy that had some of that, not the Members Mark one, but the other brand that was there, and I was walking to push my cart back to the corral there, and I said, "Hey, you want me to grab that for you?" And I grabbed his cart and returned it for him, right? And I said, "And when you're ready for some real honey, I've got it right down there." He says, "Oh yeah, where are you at?" And I explained to him, probably never buy anything, but I was just putting it out there,
right,
He says, "We eat a lot of honey." I said, "Good, because I got a lot of honey. Come get it."
right.
I just hang around my honey display in the supermarket where I go to, and people come by and say, "Hey, do you want some good honey? There's good honey right there. Pick up that honey off the shelf."
Yeah. Pretend
That's
like
my
you're
honey.
looking around.
Brad Incognito.
Yeah.
That's right.
I
Just don't get caught.
I don't know how Brad could be too stealthy in there.
Yeah, I just sneak around. Nobody sees me.
It's kind of like a Zeppelin flying through the sky. Oh, nobody will see that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Good grief.
My goodness.
And I didn't mean that negative. I'm a big guy too, so
You know what? I know your history of
you saw the photos.
bigness, so So I'll take that. I'll take that.
Hey, I had to get a surgery to get mine off. So, but you know
Well,
what? My
I'm
blood
just
pressure and all
checking
that
to get surgery. So
came down. So, it,
Well, you guys can just go
Is what
through
it
what I
is.
went through in the last week. You lose a lot of weight that
you
way.
lose some weight there, eh? Yeah,
little bit of liquid. That's because it's
that's a
straining.
heck of a way to lose weight.
It's a very painful way to lose weight.
Yeah.
Snow pollen. They can't see. You all would be amazed
Probably
if you
Chinese
really
honey.
knew how much honey is mixed with corn syrup and blow your mind. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way that they keep their. Well, there's two ways to look at it. Either they just make so much honey and get it so cheap that they can sell it for that cheap, or they're adding something to it to be able to cut the cost to make it that cheap.
There you go.
Well,
So
I mean,
I watched your video this morning, Brad, and now you've got the brain thinking. Now I'm thinking I need a solar wax melter at every apiary.
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
just
we'll have
melted my
to
block down.
collaborate on building or designing the definitive solar wax melter because I still want to build one. This one I bought is working well, but I still want to build one. Just maybe a little more customized and put some plans out there for other people to build too. Do a build series on YouTube about this solar wax melter.
Well, mine works pretty good when it's the sun's out. It's not raining. But
Yeah, I have no complaints about this one so far. I'm not sure about the finishes in the wood that he used, whether it's going to stand the weather very well. I'm not sure.
I don't even think it matters. And, I mean, if you leave it outside, obviously during the winter, it probably would matter. But
Well, I
mine's
wouldn't
made
leave
out
it
of
out in the
mine's
winter.
plastic.
But oh, really?
Yeah, I've got the Lyson one. It's plastic. I mean, really, all it's doing is it's taking that glass and it's aiming it and heating up that metal board behind it, right? The stainless, and then that's what's actually causing it to melt. But it's literally like a plastic tote, the one that I have, and it works splendid. And it's just got a little grate on it.
The bottom of your side is perforated metal,
sir.
On mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. That little V at the bottom, it flattens out, and he's just got some holes in there. I didn't look at it too carefully to see how big they were.
So just take a paper towel and put it over that, Brad. Over that.
I've seen that. Yeah, it's spitting out beautifully clean wax already, so I see no reason to monkey with it.
Yep,
the wax coming out of it is, and I don't care. I don't care if it's perfectly clean at all, because it'll go in my melter at the end of the season anyway. But I just kind of wanted somewhere to throw my scrapings, because you throw them in a box or a pail or something, and they take up a lot of space. You got tons and tons of. If you throw them in a melter, now you got a little puck like that. You can easily manage that.
That's what I was thinking of, because I end up, you end up out there and you know what, you're feeding pollen patties and you're scraping the burr comb off the top, and the next thing you know, you got the wax in your pollen patty box, along with all those, their piece of wax paper that's stuck in between, so you rip that off. Now that's in your wax, and then you end up with bees in your wax. And I was just thinking, if you just had that solar melter out there, you just scrape it all off at the end before you went to the next apiary, you dump it all in the solar melter, and you're off to the next one. You don't have these buckets and everything all stuck together and squished together and mashed together, and then you got 6 or 7 buckets that guess I better melt some of this stuff down. It would just.
And then once a month, you take the little tray out, you dump the puck out, and you take it home or whatever, right?
And you're done.
Because you're not going to really produce that much wax just with scrapings and stuff. I've put in, a reasonable amount of wax in there, and I've got a puck that's, 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch thick.
Yep.
It's going to take a long time before I fill the thing.
And that slum gum and stuff, you walk over there on a nice hot day when you're out there, you scrape it out, you toss it out, and you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this one that he built, he built the dimensions so that it's the width of a frame, so you can put a full frame in there.
Oh yeah.
And which I thought, well, it's not really not really something I need because I don't use wax
What would-
foundation.
What would it do?
And well, that's what I was going to say, that it would probably, it could potentially work plastic foundation, so I wouldn't use it for that. But today I got out a bunch of mediums that I use for making comb honey, and I was scraping it off, and I was scraping these frames, and I thought, oh, I'll just scrape this off and put it in the melter, and then I thought,
Just put the
I'll
whole
just put these frames in the melter. So it was actually the way he built it. I was able to get 3 high and 2 deep in there, so I got 6 mediums in that melter. So it wasn't very warm today, so it didn't melt, but a couple days
As-
it'll be all cleaned up.
Right on. As per Randy Oliver's spreadsheet, it shows if you want to grow an apiary, the fastest way is to do mini queen mating nukes until the queen is fully laying, then split the colonies. Well, I'm not going to argue with Randy Oliver. But I don't make a split unless, personally, I don't make splits less than 3 frames. Now, that's just my own personal. That's what I found. Some people tell me my splits are way too strong. I'm okay with that.
Well,
I'm making 1 frame splits.
I don't make one.
People are looking at me thinking I'm crazy.
well, splitting. That's another lesson that I've learned this year about making stronger splits, right? And to me, it has more to do with I'm going to call it hive velocity for lack of a better word, right? Because the ramp up time as you make a split, if the queen is not fully mated when you put her in there, from the time you make that split to the time she's laying, that colony is actually going in reverse, right? And so the point that when she starts laying, you have to have a sustainable number of bees in that split, so she's not laying a brood pattern this big and then waiting 3 weeks to get some bees out and then laying another brood pattern this big. And the more bees that you have in there when you make the split, the bigger pattern that she's going to be able to lay when she does come back mated or, get ramped up. It limits the ramp up time of the colony. Prime example is my starter finisher, right? So the starter finisher that I was using this year, James, that's 6/6. It had so many bees just jammed in there, right? Because it was a starter finisher. When I took that last graft out and I added a queen in there, well, she had a whole colony full of drawn comb and bees and all the resources she needed. And man, they just wow. I mean, that's one of my strongest colonies right now.
I will say with the smaller colonies, I do 2 frame splits, mainly 1 frame of brood, 1 of food in queen castles. With the queen cell, after the queen gets emerged, it's probably a month and a half by the time I move them into a full size nook. But out here in West Texas, I just posted a video a few days ago, and it, of course, with their flow extending this long, it's a triple deep. I didn't expect to get honey off of it, but it's a triple deep with the 2 top boxes are now honey, and that was from a 2 frame split in April. It just depends on where you're at. Like I said, I do like pretty much a 1 frame split with a little bit of food. The splits I made this last week, I did it with 3 brood frames because it's the middle of the year. I want to give them a little bit more boost, like you said, but it's all dependent on time. I had a nook this year that it moved into a double deep within a month and a half. Then I split that 8 ways for one nook, split it 8 more times into a single like that. And now I have, 9 colonies out of 1 in a couple months. So I know that person said they want to go to 40 to 100. If you start,
that shouldn't be hard at all. 40 to 100.
No, not at all.
You split them 1 time, you're at 80.
Right. So, and I try to myself where I'm at, I try to split 3 times a year. Early spring, after the flow, early summer, and then at the end again. I do splits in September with mated queens as well. So, and that's if I don't have any other kind of splits that I need to make. If I see queen cells or like this past week where I had still 8 frames of brood, it's too strong. I have to do something or else they're going to swarm, which this week I do a lot of removals too, but I've been getting swarm calls still. I mean, everything's honey bound with our flow still continuing.
Well, let me ask you about your one frame split there, because I've tried it here unsuccessfully.
Okay.
So when I make are you making a one frame split and then moving that to an entire different apiary, or are you leaving it right there?
No, use nurse bees. I mean, you can make splits right next. People like say you have to move to 3 miles now. You can make splits right next to it. The thing is, you have to have all the nurse bees and brood that's about to emerge. So what I do is, isolate the queen, make sure she's not coming into your split, give it a frame, give it another 2 shakes of nurse bees. I mean, granted, yes, if you want the foragers and everything in it, go ahead and close them up, move them somewhere else, and that's easier. But no, I've made splits right next to each other. Now, if you have cold nights, if it's too early, of course you want it a little stronger to keep it warm, keep it queen cell warm or whatever. But it's all dependent on time of the year, what you're doing, and what your goals are. I mean, you could go from 40 to 100 and not produce a lot of honey, or you could do 40 to make 20 smaller splits and then split again later, but you still had 30 honey producers. I mean, it's all depending on what you want to do and what your goals are.
Well,
Another good way is to learn how to graft and produce your own queens.
Right.
You could grow fast that way too.
Oh yeah.
I'm a firm
right.
believer that
That's how I did.
beekeeper needs that knowledge in their toolbox of how to graft queens. Yeah. And it's not that hard.
Nope, it isn't.
Well, I've pretty much
It is not.
I've pretty much
It is
given
not
up
hard.
on being able to buy queens here early enough in the year that I need them. Like even Jose, if I bought him from California Beekeeper, right? First of all, I'm low. We're friends, right? So keep that out of the equation. I could probably get queens if I said, hey, I need some queens. But I'm low on the priority list of queen breeders early in the year, right? Because they're trying to get these guys that want 1,000 queens, 2,000, 10,000, all these big guys out of the way. And even Jose he didn't even start delivering queens till May. Well, my flow starts in April. So I have to have my splits done around, before April, typically.
So make a drone colony. Everybody laughs at me. I've got 2 colonies that are designated drone colonies. Designated drone colonies. They come out of the barn. All the worker things are filled. All the worker cells are filled within, I'm going to say, a week, 2 weeks, and she's laying drones in there. I'm going to say I've got drone larvae in there probably 3 to 4 weeks after coming out of the barn. Like now, I've got one that last year I put on a hive heater. It came out of the barn right full of drones right from day one. Now I made a mistake there, just so that everybody knows, because I had far too many drones than what I had workers, and I had more users of the resources than what was packing the resources away. So I'm balancing.
Freeloaders.
I am trying to figure that out and balance that out, but it provides an opportunity very early on in the year, to start your queen rearing a little bit earlier. Now what I was waiting on this year was really the weather. I was waiting on the weather to be good enough for those mating flights. That's what's holding me up.
Another thing you could do, Bob, is make a whole bunch of late, queen.
I've got 32 frame mating nukes out there.
And make a bunch of queens and overwinter nooks on top of with a double screen board. Just overwinter those nooks now. Let them build up to a 5 frame deep. Overwinter them, and then you have post solstice queens that are ready to explode come April. I mean, that's another thing you could do. You don't need a bottom board. You're saving the top from your your original colony. Just double screen. They use the heat, and you have a 2 queen system. I mean, they're isolated, but come spring they'll explode.
So to comment on Robert's last comment there, he says I tried grafting last week of June and messed up. So everybody can graft. I am a firm believer that everybody can graft, but I'm going to throw this out there. You absolutely
Skip a step.
cannot take shortcuts.
Nope.
Or try to expedite or try to miss the little things when it comes to grafting. You need to follow the life cycle of the bee. You can't mess up. It's going to take you at least 4 or 5 days to build your starter finisher.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simply to check for rogue cells. So everybody can graft. Just take the time. Know that you can't miss the step. Pay attention to the details, and your grafting will be successul.
Don't miss a rogue cell.
I agree. I agree with what James said. That's true.
If I can learn to
I agree
graft,
with that.
anybody can learn to graft.
I think
I
there
can't
are
even see the larva.
there are some optional kind of methods. Some people use queenless finisher or queen right finishers and that kind of stuff. So there's a few things that you can choose, incubators or introducing cells or introducing reversion, something like that. But those aren't shortcuts. Those are just management choices.
Correct.
But I agree with James that if you're looking for shortcuts, or you're looking to skip steps or something like that, and I think that's why the first couple of years of grafting, I really wasn't that successful because I was, I'm busy and I'm lazy. So those things go together and you end up cutting too many corners and things don't work out. So, you have to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined to make sure you do all the little things, and you have to be disciplined with that calendar. You
Absolutely.
watch that calendar. You're married to that calendar because it'll explode in your face if you don't.
I'll tell you what.
Of the bee, you're not going to start it or you're not going to stop it. The minute you start that, it goes.
It does not care what you have on today and who had to do this and who made you do something else and why you were away, and they don't care.
I've got
They
an
don't care at all.
incubator. I've got an incubator that was full of dead queens when I came back. Right, I was
Yeah,
gone for a
that's
week.
sad.
They don't care. That's just what happened.
No.
Just, Alan took care of as many of them as he possibly could for me. So that I'm thankful to him for that. But the rest of them, that's what happens. You're not going to stop. You're not going to slow down, and you definitely cannot speed up that life cycle of the bee.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was as far as making splits when we early in the year when we were doing them, James, and we were like, I think that's the best method too. If you've got a big, strong double deep and you're trying to take a split off of it, and you shake all the bees down, and you pull that brood up to the top, and all of a sudden the nurse bees just come up.
Put that queen excluder in there. All the nurse bees are going to come up. You can pull that frame 3-4 days later. Guess what? You've already did your rogue cell check.
Yeah.
And anything that's there is going to be too old for them to make a queen out of now. So perfect. That's a perfect frame to throw into your starter finisher. And, whether you do it that way or whether you gather your frames, you put them in there and you go back in 3-4 days later and knock down all the cells, that works too.
Well,
Bob's way works a little bit better, and I'll tell you why.
Well, first of all, you've only got to check the one colony that you're doing. So you're doing all your rogue split. So you're not making the split and then going back and checking 10 colonies for rogue cells. You're just checking the one colony,
right?
For 10
but
cells.
They will hide a cell. It took me a long time to figure out, how the hell did they get that egg in there, and how the hell did they manage to make that cell, and why didn't I catch it? They will cover it. They will hide it. They are like Houdinis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
You shake those bees off.
Yeah.
Shake those bees off, or even better yet, if you, like I said, pull that frame up above in a queen right colony, above a queen excluder, and leave it there for 4 days. That's an even better way to do it.
So Keith brought up a concept here. Good idea to not have your starter finish in the same yard as your mating nukes. Flesh that out for me. Give me some reasoning behind that. I know it'll take a moment to see it in the chat, but I'm interested in that concept.
Mine was.
I don't know where else I put mine.
Yeah, Bob Denny has
Well,
his right
mine
next to
certainly are.
Well, I think it's in order so your unmated, your virgin queens don't fly into your starter finisher. Would be the only thing I
Yeah,
can
that's
think
an issue for sure.
of.
They're done that.
But
I'm
other
gonna
than that,
knock on wood because I haven't had that problem yet.
Oh, I did.
I know Brad did, and that was last year, wasn't it, Brad?
yeah, that's what
I
he
don't
said.
know that was a version that came in. Yeah, so that's what you're talking about, Keith. Yeah, I don't know that because I know that can happen. I don't know that that's a version that went in. I run a queen excluder on my entrances, and now I know virgins, sometimes, but it gives you some kind of protection. And Carrie was looking at that today, and she said that they have done that, but not exclusively. So she saw that I'd cut up a plastic one, and she said, "Hey, that's a good idea. I'm gonna just cut up a plastic one
And you can just
to make
staple it to the
those."
box hanging down over it, right?
Yeah, I just put some screws and washers that I happen to have, and I had a broken excluder that was sitting in the building for a long time, so I didn't even use one up. It was broken
What, your
already.
plastic one broke?
Yeah, that never happens. Well, you know what?
And they always stay straight.
The metal one, though, that'll bend and you won't notice. If
Yeah.
plastic one's broken, you'll see it.
Actually,
So,
I found
you know.
from my plumbing and sheet metal days. They make things called fin combs. So I found a fin comb that matches that queen excluder almost perfectly. So you can run that fin cone across it very, very
So you
quickly.
can gauge it.
And if it hangs up anywhere, you know what? You've got to start checking and readjusting. And if it slides across really easy, you're good to go. Throw it on.
Well, you know what? And this is one advantage I have too, is that I think where most of your bent queen excluders come from, employees sticking that hive tool in there when they're trying to pry that super off.
To do it quickly, rather than just waiting it to, scraping the wax off.
What I usually do is I pry it up a little bit where I can get a finger in it, and then I twist it, try to twist it loose.
Yeah. But if you stick it, you try to get that honey super off, you stick your hive tool and you can catch that excluder. You bend that bar, and I have to buy that thing, so I'm a little more careful than maybe an employee might be.
But yeah, I mean, this year was full of lessons as far as just things. Was I doing things wrong? Yeah, I mean, I think we all do things wrong if you go and buy the textbook. I mean, but
I think we all need to. I don't think you were doing anything wrong, Bob, and I don't think there was anything that you didn't know. But I think and you and I've discussed this lots, which is why I'm going to throw that out there here now. But we just had to reel you back to the basics, and get rid of the shortcuts. And I think we all need that from time to time, myself included. Probably myself, maybe a little bit more so than anybody else, because I'm expanding, as fast and as rapidly as I am. I'm always going back to the basics because, you know what? I don't think there's a single time I go out to the apiary where it's like, well, why did I do that? Like that, now I got to redo all that.
I get the old chain yanked quite a bit because, to get my work done, I have to cut all the corners I can, and so those corners, yank that chain once in a while. They say this is not a corner you can cut, so buck it up, Sparky.
Well, the other thing, I also had multiple breeds of honeybee in the same yard, so they were reacting different. So I would look at one Italian colony and it'd be smashed full of bees, and then you go to the Carney colony and it just taking them longer to start up and get ramped up. And I'm looking at them like something's wrong with this, but there wasn't anything really wrong with it, which we found out a little bit later in the year.
They caught up.
That they caught up, yeah. Just took them a minute, but
and it's fine to do that. I have Carnies and I have Italians out there. I have mainly Carnies. You just have to recognize the different traits for the different bees. That it's that simple, and you can't expect one to do have the same traits as the other one. They're a different breed.
Well, the funny thing is, we had the long discussion about how old my queens are, and I couldn't answer the question, right? Couldn't answer it. I mean, I could. It just wasn't a good answer. I don't know. I don't know. It says it's a 1-year-old queen. I just got that nuke last year, but it wasn't. Obviously, wasn't. But this year, with the way we did it and grafting and everything in my yard was either a yellow or now a red queen, and not for nothing, but my yellow queens got superseded by their colonies this year. So now they're all first-year queens. So
make sure you mark them.
Everything is first year. I'm waiting for you to come down and mark those Florida queens.
I'm going to mark them with a paintball gun.
Just pour a gallon of paint in the colony and just wipe it out. But they're doing good. Even the bees that came down from Steve, they came late. They came you were here a month and a half ago, 2 months max?
Yeah, I don't even remember when I was down there. This whole season has just gone.
And they came in 5 frames, and one of them was stronger than the other because he lost some of the bees along the road coming in. But those colonies rebounded, and they filled up a deep, and now they filled up a medium. So
those are Houdini bees. I did that on my way over to Brad's too. I stopped in where the heck did I stop in Saskatchewan? Anyways, I didn't think they were getting out at all, but at the bottom of my pallets, I got a little 3/8 drain hole in the bottom of the pallet, and that's where they managed to find that, and that's where they were coming out. So I'm parked there, and I'm filling up with gas, and of course there was everybody around for everywhere. And by the time I'm done filling up with gas, and I'm looking around, there's not a soul around, but my trailer kind of looks like Linus's blanket from Charlie Brown, and I'm just laughing because everybody's gone from everywhere. So
you had a bunch of pissed off
Where did everybody go?
Yeah, I pulled around to the back of the gas station, made a little video. It's like here's my Houdini bees, I think I called them.
They just escaped out. But yeah,
well, I'm gonna hit it, guys. I got up at 5:30 to beat the heat, and I was sweating at 6 o'clock, and that heat wore me out today.
So you gotta, before you jump off, when you get up that early to go work your bees, what's your bees' nature at 6:30 in the morning?
Well, I was in them at 6, and they're waking up. They're actually really calm. They'll fly out, but they'll land on you instead of like bumping you. They'll just land on you and sit on you. If you smoke them, they just kind of scurry around. They don't take flight. But
so they're not even pissed off that you're opening them up that early?
No, not. I mean, I had one that was mildly irritated, but the rest of them were not bad. All
right, so mine would murder me, right? That's what we're saying. If yours was mildly irritated.
Well, I used a lot of smoke this morning. I never puff the entrance. I never do. And on my I feed through the lid. So on the lid I have a hole cut out to put buckets on or jars, whatever I want to do. And so I usually just smoke them through there. And then they just go down, and I take the lid off and do my stuff. Well, today I had to go in and put OA strips in. So I smoked them real heavy from the entrance and then also from the top. And I took the second box off, put my strips down, plopped the box back on, and moved on. I didn't even take the lid off.
So you're using glycerin sticks, Todd?
Yeah. They worked great for me last year. Last year I used the Swedish sponges, but man, those were messy. I had all kinds of colors all over the place, red and orange and pink and blue and green, piece of sponge everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But this year I tried that Blue Pig water absorbent pad, and I cut them all up into strips. So I'll see. I
hang them down in between the frames.
No, I lay them on top.
Okay.
Between the boxes. You could lay them down. I did it just that way because that's what I did last year. I got good results with it last year. But I will say that the way I watched, there's a guy on YouTube where I got the idea for the material from, and the Blue Pig absorbent blankets. On one side, it's blue. It has some kind of blue material, and the other side is white, and that's the absorbing side. And I guess the blue is a backing. Well, you put them together, the blue on the inside, but then when you do that and you stand them on their ends in like a little plastic shoebox, the whites will stick together, and then when you peel them apart, it's I don't know, it's kind of messy too. It doesn't they don't come off, they don't separate cleanly. One side will grab the other, and so we'll see what happens. But so that's what I was doing. It was 110 today. And for those that are wanting to get a report on the humidity, I looked earlier. It was 27% about an hour ago, and it's 101 right now is what it says. And it's 9:30 at night. So,
Well, mine is
That
saying
seems
near
a
record
little
high.
higher than normal.
yeah.
Sorry.
Mine's supposed to have near record high temps tomorrow.
Yeah, it's last I looked, it's supposed to be 114 here tomorrow. I'm not going. I am going to go out early. What does that say?
So we have severe warning for special air quality. So the smoke is getting socked right back in here again.
Oh,
So it's only 18 degrees. Our high today was 25. It's going to get down to 13 degrees Celsius. High 25 degrees Celsius. But yeah, we've had severe smoke. So it should have been a really, really nice day today. It was pretty much clear, but it looked like it was cloudy all day again. We've had so much smoke up here this year. It's just horrible.
we went through that a couple years ago at the California wildfires. It was crazy.
You guys see this number here?
Yeah, you're all blurry.
93% humidity.
Wow. So what's the feel like temperature? It's not 77.
Well, it rained all day today, so it could be 77.
You know, when I was down there for that week, I think Bob laughed at me because thank goodness the hotel had air conditioning, because it was like 44 degrees Celsius and 94% humidity the whole time I was down there. You know, I remember going downstairs, I grabbed myself a nice cool beer, walked out onto the deck, and I was like, you know what? I'm going back inside to drink my beer. You had to work to breathe. I don't know how you guys do it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's thick air.
Well, we just smoke. See, we just inhale the smoke, so we can't breathe anyway. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a great evening and a nice Sunday, and I will catch up with you soon.
Have a good night,
Hey,
Todd.
Todd.
See you later.
James is in Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada. That's what Robert was asking. Robert's over in Ohio.
Got her.
And I'm sitting here thinking, so, you know, when I'm going through Marketplace there and I find, we talked about the other night, and he sent it to me, the link as well, but it's a Maxant extractor that somebody had used on Marketplace. And, you know, everything is far from...
That horizontal 40 frame?
Yeah, the square looking one?
Yeah. I don't know anything about it. I sent the guy a message, but I don't know anything about it.
And it's just everything's far from you, so it's a drive, right? So you got to calculate that cost.
That one's in the Okanagan. That one's, what is that? 8 hours, honey? The Okanagan?
That's funny. James is like, it's only 8 hours away, and I'm sitting here. I won't drive 4 hours one direction to go grab what I need.
I do believe it's 12 hours to Vancouver. So or 14 hours to 12 to 14 hours to Vancouver. So I think the Okanagan's only like 8 or 10 hours away. That would be an easy drive down and back, actually.
And
But I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about those Maxent 40 frame horizontals, and it's square. I'll be honest with you, when I looked at it and I was kind of thinking, oh, okay, well, if a guy can get that for a decent price, I would strip it, throw away the housing, if you will, and I'd build myself a 40 or 60 frame horizontal extractor with the parts and pieces.
you could get this 80 frame Man Lake extractor here. Only it's in Washington State.
Well, that's just south of Vancouver.
And they want 15 grand for that. And what else is with it? 20,000 for the uncapper, but it's like Mr. Ed's is a chain uncapper. And
so they really don't want to sell it, is what you're saying?
Yeah. They are proud of their used equipment they don't want anymore. But then I sit back and, well, why don't you want this? Why don't you want it anymore?
They're going to have it a long time at that price.
Oh, I'm sure it'll start going down. It's going to start going down. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of the stuff you see on here is old posts too. So it's like they probably don't even have it anymore. Or if they do, like you said, is old prices or old equipment at too high price.
Yeah, no, they sent you the that Facebook thing from that Maxent 40 frame horizontal there last night. So I sent him a message to see if I can get some more information and stuff on it. But like I said, in all honesty, the bank account is probably taxed as much as it's going to get taxed this year.
Just going to struggle through with the 12 framer.
Struggle through. It's like I said there last night, it's twice as big as a 6 framer.
Well, that's a very cups half full mentality, and I can appreciate that. Brad just gets the grin on his face.
My bottleneck last year was,
well, that's restraint, man. I see stuff. I'm more like Bob. It's like, oh, I need that. You know.
Well, like I said last
year, I didn't need that second kidney anyway. I need a wax spinner instead.
Right. Well, at one point you could sell a testicle in Las Vegas for like $35,000. I don't need mine anymore, so maybe I need that Lyson Mini Max extracting line.
My wife is just cracking
I
up.
don't even want to ask why you know that, Bob.
It was just the post. I was in the scientific community for a while. Robert says they'll sell you a Cowan 60 identical to Ian's for $250, but it needs some love. Just drag it 2 million miles home.
Where's Robert at?
He's in Ohio. But if anyone could give it that love and dedication, it would be James.
Well, I started.
That's 12. Is it 12? No, that's 20 hours past me. Just give you an idea.
Pick it up on my way back from whatever conference I go to next year.
Get to my place. You're halfway there.
So
I don't know where in Ohio he is, but.
Well, like I said, I started editing.
Oh, he's in the upstate though. He's like close to. You could fly into Detroit. Probably drive down to Ohio, or you could just fly right into Columbus, go north.
I flew into Detroit quite a few times actually. So
and ride it on home.
But yeah. Well, like I said, you won't recognize this Cowan uncapper here. So should have with any luck, I'll have the video all edited there tomorrow. Maybe I'll get it up.
Did
I'm
you
gonna
get
have to
before
send
and
you
after?
mine for rebuild next winter?
So Well, you know what I was doing, in all honesty, Brad, I've been, if I needed a part, so for example, down at the machine shop, you have those special reduced diameter head bolts that hold all the sprockets and stuff on. And so, I needed 2 of this size and 2 of that size and 2 of the other size. Well, when I went down to the machine shop, it's like, well, make me 6 or 8 of these, or 6 or 8 of those, or 6 or 8 of these. And so I will have spare parts, definitely.
But I mean, that uncapper that you got, by the time you're done, it's going to be brand new.
Yeah.
Essentially, I mean, the body, I mean, it's stainless steel, right? So
it's cast aluminum.
Cast aluminum.
Yep.
But by the time you're done with the paint job that you're putting on it, and
well, I did a little bit before that, so I built up some of the casting that was wore out, so that was built out and then remachined down, and then got rid of all the lead paint on it, and then bead blasted it, and there was a little bit of grinding and sanding and stuff that had to be done, some from some of the fill up, and then I've ordered all. I got most of them in. All new bearings for everything, all new bushings for everything, all new. All the hardware is all been upgraded to stainless steel hardware. And so everything, every nut, bolt, washer, screw, nut on that thing is now stainless steel. So, but the only thing I have to do, and I'm going to give Greg a call with Callan probably on Monday, and get that upgraded guide kit coming. I'll get that up here. But what's that? Didn't realize the chain was so high priced. If you're talking about the 50 series hollow chain on the uncapper, is that what Mike's talking about?
Oh, I think he's talking about the flail uncapper.
Oh, because I was going to say that 50 series hollow link or hollow pin chain is expensive chain. So I looked at upgrading that one of mine to stainless steel. That's a $1,400 US touch to upgrade that chain to stainless steel. So that's not happening this year.
Smokes.
So maybe a few years down the road, but when I got that priced out, I just about fell off my rocker, and that's my price through work, of which we buy tons and tons and tons of chain of all different sizes. And I mean, we get chain specially manufactured for us, and that was the best price that the chain manufacturer could give me on that. So, but yeah, it's coming right along, and I'm excited to get it all put back together.
Did you take before and after photos of each stage?
Wait for yeah, absolutely. So you'll see the video. So you'll see where. Well, basically, I think I used a picture of the back of Brad's truck for starting the video. And so, but that's kind of right from here's where I picked it up to. Well, I'll end the video on the first one. I think it's going to be 2 videos, but it's just too long. But I'll end the first video. Basically, this thing is stripped apart. There's not a nut, a bolt, or anything left on it. It is completely disassembled, and it has completely been rebuilt, and it's just completely started all over.
Kind of just happened, eh, James?
It really
Fling
did.
the door of a sea can open, and we both kind of stand there, and I say to James, "Weren't you looking for an uncapper?" There's one sitting on the floor right there.
Yep. So, yeah, that worked out. That whole trip worked out really good, and that's, that's something that I guess everybody kind of has to understand. I mean, everybody thinks it's always good to try and help somebody out, but I've always found good things come to those that give good things or help good things or do good things. So that was a prime example of exactly that. I mean, Out of that whole trip, I really think I came out on top, to be honest with you. You know, I came home with 15 new pallets, of which today I realized I got to build 30 lids. So
Yeah, you didn't get any lids with the
Yeah.
pallets.
so that's what Alan was saying. He says, "Well, we got pallets, but where are the lids?" And I'm like, "Oh, I built a lid for every pallet." And then it's
Don't.
like, "Oh, wait a minute."
I should have. I have a whack of lid material cut. I should have sent you home with at least 30 pieces of plywood
Yeah, no worries.
to make lids out of.
You know, I don't think I had room on my trailer. My poor trailer was loaded.
Yeah, that probably would have been the straw that broke the Toyota's back.
Well, I wasn't worried about the Toyota. The trailer that the Toyota was pulling, I was a little bit concerned on. So, but 7,000-pound payload, and I rolled it over a scale when I got home, and I was quite a few 100 pounds over. So,
Wow.
Well, guys, let's.
Yeah.
There's Blaine coming on at near 1 a.m. Yeah, we've been on. Where you been? We've been on for 2 hours and 12 minutes already. But I should have recognized. I didn't see the sarcasm in the chat tonight. But I'm gonna stop the live stream, and we will see you guys on the next one.
have a good night, everyone.
Okay.
See you later.
Good night, everybody.